Welcome back to the Shadow Files, where we explore the most chilling and perplexing mysteries of all time. Today, we'll delve into the haunting case of the murder of Jane Britton, an unsolved crime that baffled investigators for over 4 decades. Stick around as we unravel this gripping tale of mystery, science, and justice. Jane Britton was a 23-year-old graduate student at Harvard University in 1969. She was studying anthropology, a field she was passionate about, and was on the path to becoming an expert in her field. Jane lived in a modest apartment near Harvard, but everything changed on January 7, 1969. That evening, Jane was found brutally murdered in her apartment. Her body was discovered by a friend who had gone to check on her. The scene was gruesome. Jane had been bludgeoned, and her body was left in a disturbing state. It appeared to be the work of a violent and personal attack, but there were no signs of forced entry, and nothing appeared to be stolen. This shocking crime sent ripples through the academic community, and it quickly became a high-profile case. Harvard, a prestigious institution known for its intellectual excellence, was now gripped by the fear that a murderer was lurking among them. Right away, investigators began to probe various leads, hoping to uncover the person responsible. They initially focused on Jane's personal life. Was there a lover? Could it be related to her academic work? At the time, Jane had been researching ancient civilizations, but nothing about her work pointed to anyone who might want her dead. Friends and family were questioned, but no one seemed to have any answers. Even her professors and peers in the anthropology department were left in shock. With no clear suspects, the investigation stalled. Authorities also began looking at the crime scene. Forensic analysis revealed small amounts of blood under Jane's nails, which suggested a struggle. But despite collecting evidence, the case quickly grew cold. Over time, several suspects were brought up. Initially, a man named Michael Sumter, who was a known criminal and a former janitor at Harvard, came under suspicion. His history of violent behavior and proximity to Jane's apartment led to an early investigation. But there were no direct links to the crime, and the police could not charge him at that time. As the years passed, the case slowly faded from the public eye, and the murder of Jane Britton became one of those tragic unsolved mysteries, one that would haunt the Harvard community and the family who had lost their daughter, sister, and friend. Then, in 2018, a team of investigators decided to re-examine the case using a revolutionary tool, DNA technology. This wasn't just any forensic investigation, but one that would be propelled by the incredible power of genetic genealogy. Back in 1969, DNA testing wasn't even a possibility. The technology to solve crimes using DNA samples simply didn't exist. But in the modern age, investigators were able to revisit old evidence. The DNA collected from the crime scene, which had been preserved over the years, was analyzed, and it provided the breakthrough that would solve the case. Using a process known as genetic genealogy, investigators uploaded the DNA to a public database. It didn't take long for them to match the DNA sample to Michael Sumter, a man who had already been suspected years earlier. However, by this time, Sumter had passed away in 2001, which meant that he could not stand trial. Still, the DNA match was clear. Michael Sumter was the man who murdered Jane Britton. This case serves as a remarkable example of how far forensic science has come. Thanks to genetic genealogy, which has gained notoriety in recent years due to high-profile cases like the Golden State Killer, investigators were able to solve a crime that had gone unsolved for decades. In fact, genetic genealogy is now being used to solve many cold cases, offering hope that justice can still be served. even years or decades after a crime is committed. Although Jane Britton's family and friends will never fully recover from the tragedy of her untimely death, there's a certain sense of closure that comes with knowing that her killer was finally identified. Jane's legacy lives on through the work she did during her short time at Harvard, and her story has now become an example of how science and persistence can bring justice, no matter how long it takes. The murder of Jane Britton may have been a mystery for 40 years, but thanks to modern technology, the case was finally solved. It's a chilling reminder of how a seemingly unsolvable crime can one day have its truth uncovered. And, while we may never fully understand the circumstances that led to Jane's tragic death, we can take solace in knowing that justice was served. What do you think? Does the rise of genetic genealogy represent the future of crime solving? Could more cold cases like Jane Britton's be solved in the coming years? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Shadow Files for more gripping stories of mystery and justice. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time with another chilling case to unravel.